One of the great things about having houseplants is that you can actually make your house a home by having more of them. But if you're limited on cash and you don't really have a lot of resources to be able to get plants in great abundance, don't despair. You can actually grow more plants from the plants that you have. Now, one of the greatest things about houseplants is that you have a lot of common houseplants that can actually produce a lot of different offspring. And one of these plants happens to be the Pathos. And when you go into a home improvement store or to a nursery, you'll normally see a little white tag in it that says houseplant. But the Pathos is a great plant because they produce rapidly and abundantly, and they're actually great to have around the house. They can actually absorb the kinds of negative energy in the home to where, like if you have cold or flu season, they actually help keep your air healthier. These particular and philodendron are two key plants for this. Now this plant is a young plant and it can't really produce any new springs because it doesn't have any little brown nubs on the stems. And that's what you're kind of looking for. You're looking for that on your typical house plant. Now a cousin of this is called the Monstera, which is a little bit larger leaf, you'll see. And in comparison, it's quite humongous. Some of them you'll actually see the little splits. They look more like valentines. And this happens to be part of a mature, larger plant that I actually have outside. Now, what you're looking for on the Pathos and any of its cousins is you're looking for these little roots right here. These little roots will show you that it's mature enough to actually take a cutting and start a new one. And that's what you're really looking for. So, while you can actually put these in actual soil and they'll take root, it'll be a slow process. What you want to do is to ensure your success, to make sure that your base plant is solid. So simply take a cutting off a mature plant once you see these nubs and just get a vase of water. And every few days change the water, and eventually what you'll end up seeing through one of these plants is you'll actually start to see that the roots will start to turn white. When they get really long and leggy, then you know that it's the perfect plant to put into soil because it's mature enough to actually take root. And then you'll have tons of them. And that's how you actually start something new from an existing plant that you have of this variety. Not all plants need propagation with rooting powder. You can actually take certain species of plants and actually plant them directly and they will grow just fine. Jade plant is one of them. Jade plant is a succulent, and as you take a look at the leaves, you'll notice that they're very drought tolerant, and they grow really well in all kinds of climates, and even in the hottest of weathers can survive with very, very little water. What you want to do with a jade plant is make sure that you cut it and just simply stick it in some moist soil, and by doing so it'll actually take root on its own. So all you need to do is find a limb that you want and take a cutting of it, and very much like with the Schefflera, you'll want to take different pieces of the actual root here and take the leaves off so that you have more of the root exposed. And simply stick it into a potted plant and it'll grow just fine. And in the weeks to come, it'll take root and you don't have to do a thing. If you love plants as much as we do, one of the greatest things about plants is you can actually create more just from the ones that you have. This is a Schefflera, and it's a common house plant. You can actually keep it indoors or outdoors, and that's the beauty of this plant. If you actually want to make more of these plants, you don't really need to start from seed. All you have to do is start a cutting. The easiest thing to do is actually take a cutting, and notice the leaves, how they're at the bottom. You'll want to remove these leaves. And the reason why you want to do that is you want to be able to put the stem and repot this so that way you actually have some room to grow here as you put it into your soil. So you remove as many leaves as you can toward the bottom, and you simply get a sprayer and make sure that you wet all these little nubs. It's these nubs here that you see that are actually going to be sprouting the new roots for the actual plant. And that's one of the beautiful things about this type of plant, is that you will start to see roots develop, well, probably with about a 7 to 10 day period, and they root pretty quickly, but you can't just stick it inside of a wet soil because you'll need a little help. And what will provide that help is something called rooting powder. And this you can get at any nursery or anywhere you can actually buy garden supplies at your home improvement store. And you simply want to take the root base of the plant and stir it around in the rooting hormone powder. And you want to get yourself some, like a little starter pot with some soil in it that is moist, and simply stick it directly into the pot. Get it in there as deep as you can. Make sure that you support it with the soil surrounding, and that's really all you need to do. You can water it a little bit and mist the leaves. That's actually how a lot of plants get their moisture. And you'll have the beginnings of a brand new plant that you can start. Leave it alone for a few days. Don't keep checking on it. You may want to actually put some plant food into it and some water every few days and check in on it. And you can mist as frequently as you like and keep it growing. And about 7-10 days it'll start to take root all on its own. And that's one of the beautiful things about having a plant where you can actually propagate and create more of them. And you can keep doing this. You can actually continue to take more cuttings from a plant that's overgrown and develop new plants within your garden, get them as starters, and once they start to take root, you can actually start them as gifts. So feel free to explore around your garden and see what new cuttings you can take advantage of to create new plants and create new life. It's another great thing about having plants in and around and about your house.